everybody. I'm back. It's the bad penny. I just keep popping up. And I'm glad that you keep coming back. It was so good to see Midlife Mama back today. They've been having some issues, and I don't know what they are. I'm not going to question. I'm just going to ask for prayer for them. But so they haven't been on like a daily basis. It's like, when they can. And she's just so sweet. And so is Dan. They are just so super sweet. So if you get a chance to go over and just give her a word of encouragement, it's Midlife Mama. That's what she calls it. And just give her a word of encouragement. And so tonight we're taking Moses up Mount Sinai. This is the 3rd month since they left Egypt. Now, God put some boundaries on them. And he was pretty clear about them. Moses was the one that could go up the mountain. But the people were not to even touch the base of it. They could go around it, they could stand around it, but they could not go past the base of it. Now, he spoke to Moses, and he told Moses to go down and tell them to prepare themselves, because God was going to speak to them. And he said that they were to wash their clothes and they were to be clean. And they did, but they didn't want to go up the mountain. They didn't want to go through the mountain because they were afraid. So, and the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear me. He wanted the people to hear him. Then it is chapter 20 when we get into the 10 Commandments. And he's telling them that they are a treasure to him if they keep his covenant. And Moses called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all their words which the Lord commanded them. Okay, so he's telling them these things. This is just getting in preparation, because God wanted them to hear his voice, and he was going to sound the ram's horn. And after that, then Moses went through the cloud, he went through the cloud and up the mountain. Moses is 80-some years old. This man had to be in good shape, because he's up and down that mountain a lot. So then, after that, God has made his voice and himself known to the people. And now he is going to talk to Moses, and he's going to give him the 10 Commandments. Okay, I drew this out ahead of time and prepped it and all that. That's not the big deal. In the corner up there, you see that little crescent thing? That's not a moon. That is a ram's horn. And I placed it there so that it would show that there has some significance, because it was when they would hear the ram's horn that would announce that God is speaking. And they would hear God talking or speaking to Moses. But that was to begin with. And You see their little heads down there. I planned on doing something with those, but it didn't turn out very well on that part. But I'm painting in the mountain right now. I'm just kind of made a gray to go there. And there's a figure on top of it, and that is Moses. I have his arms outstretched toward heaven. And the reason for that is because God is the one who is inscribing those tablets. He's the one who's writing that stuff out. And so Moses is humbling himself and recognizing God's power. That's why I put it that way. That's the way I would picture it. I do encourage you to read through the chapters. It's impossible for me to get everything in these short, little films, but there's quite a bit. Okay. I did some more studying, and it is in chapter 34 when you find out that God was the one who inscribed the tablets. But he did inscribe them. So back in chapter 20, though, he's giving these commandments, and he's speaking them out. The people are not supposed to, they're supposed to be clean, and they're supposed to be around the mountain, and God is going to make his presence known to them. And he speaks the 10 commandments. And Moses is up and down this mountain carrying, word from God to the people and the people to God and their fears. And then when Moses finally goes up, God has descended in fire upon the mountain. And so there is also smoke. And they're afraid to approach with which they should be. They're not supposed to. But for 3 days, they were supposed to keep themselves clean before Moses even went up. Now, when he went up to the mountain, he broke through. Now, I left this open so we could see it. I didn't cover the front part. I'm not covering the front part with smoke. I will the rest, because we need to be able to visualize. But the horn was sounding louder and louder. And the people could see the lightning was coming down. They saw the smoke, and that it was, the smoke was going up from the mountain. The mountain was covered with smoke. Moses broke through the smoke and went up. God inscribed those tablets with the commandments. Now, he'd already spoken them. Now, Moses is up there for quite some time. And he's made clear what God told him to tell the priests and Aaron about their behavior and how it is to be. And so they know that they're not to make any graven images. They know that how they're supposed to make an altar, how they're supposed to, whether it's of earth or of stone. If they make it a stone, they're not supposed to hew the stone in any way. They just use the stones as they are. And he's pretty specific on those. Now, the trumpet blast from that ram's horn, like I said, it got louder and louder. There was no distinction's not the right word. there was no doubt. There was no doubt at all that that was from the Lord. But the Israelites got really scared when they saw the lightning and the thunder and all of the smoke, and then the ground started to shake around the mountain, and the mountain started to shake. And the presence of God is pretty powerful. And I imagine that was just only what they would be able to tolerate. And because God never gives us more than we can tolerate. So I imagine he gave them to the point they could tolerate, and that was it. Now, after this, hold on. Okay. What is fascinating about the people of Israel, and all of us really, is how quickly we can forget. And I don't know that we forget, we just kind of, I don't know. We're not very, I don't know if it's that we forget or if it's more that after some certain amount of time passes, we just become less and less worried about it. It's like, okay, we haven't, that's exactly what happened when Moses was up there. For all that time, they just decided, okay, God has forgotten about us. And Moses has forgotten about us. So we're just going to do what we're going to do. That became a big trap for them. And he was up there for a very long time. He was giving, God gave him every command or I don't know, how do I say this? He gave him details, not just about laws and how to do, how to discipline or what to do. He gave them instructions on how to build the tabernacle, on how the tabernacle and the priests were to dress, and how they were to. He gave them the whole shebang right up there on that mountain, and all of that they did up there. He must have been up there for a very long time. Because the Israelite nation got to the point where they were deciding that God had forgotten them, so fine. They were just going to make their own. And that's what's going to happen when we come back and read what happens with the golden calf later. Maybe I'll be able to read a couple verses into it without reading whole passages. Not that the passages aren't important. It's most important to put the passages in, but for a matter because of time. But I do encourage you. Always check it out. I love all of you. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.